Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to explore the life and influence of Marc Andreessen. He's a true giant in the tech world, and you've given us this biography detailing his journey. And what we want to do today is kind of unpack the key takeaways, really look at how he went from a small-town computer whiz to this, pioneering figure who's still shaping Silicon Valley and the tech world even today.
Yeah, it's a story that starts with like a fascinating contrast. I mean, Andreessen, he grows up in this small town in Wisconsin, worlds away from the global reach of the internet that he would one day help to shape. But even as a kid, like his passion for technology, it was totally evident. Like he starts programming when he's like 9 years old on a TRS-80 computer. I mean, think about that.
Wow.
And this early interest leads him to pursue computer science at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And that's a decision that really sets the stage for everything that follows.
Yeah, and it's at the university where his work at the National Center for Supercomputing Applications, NCSA, we hear about Mosaic so much, the first graphic web browser. But can you explain why it was such a revolutionary development? Why was it so groundbreaking?
So before Mosaic, the internet was largely text-based, used mostly by, academics and researchers, people who were comfortable with its complexities. But Mosaic, it changed all of that.
How so?
It introduced this user-friendly interface, allowed people to see text and images together on a single page. I mean, imagine for a second a world where you couldn't click a link to go to a website. Or, see images next to the text you were reading.
That's a hard thing to wrap your head around now.
Right. Like that was the reality before Mosaic.
So essentially, Mosaic opened up the internet to everyday people.
Yeah, made it a visual and interactive experience instead of this purely text-based domain for technical experts.
So no exaggeration then to say that Mosaic laid the foundation for the web experience that we know today.
Yeah, and paved the way for the explosion in internet usage that followed. And Andreessen, at 23, he was at the forefront of this revolution.
That's incredible. So he's already making this huge impact while still at university.
Right.
What happens next?
Well, he recognizes the commercial potential of Mosaic, and he moves to Silicon Valley, right to the heart of the burgeoning tech industry.
Makes sense.
And he partners with Jim Clark, a co-founder of Silicon Graphics, to start Netscape Communications Corporation. This is in 1994. And their goal, their mission, was to build on the ideas in Mosaic and create this commercial web browser that would reach a global audience.
And that's how Netscape Navigator was born.
Exactly.
It quickly became the dominant browser in those early days of the internet, right?
It did. Navigator was a major refinement of Mosaic, and its user-friendly features and performance, they just quickly captured the market. Like at its peak, Navigator had over 90% of the browser market share. So for millions of people all over the world, it was the gateway to the internet.
And Andreessen, he's just 24 years old at this point. And he's already playing this pivotal role in shaping the internet as we know it.
And his influence continued to grow.
Right.
Netscape goes public. Initial public offering, IPO, August 1995.
A landmark event.
It was. The shares, they surged $28 to $75 on the first day of trading.
It was a defining moment, not just for Netscape, but for the whole tech industry. It marked the beginning of the dot-com boom. And Andreessen became an icon of this new era, representing a generation of these young, disruptive tech entrepreneurs.
Precisely. But despite its early success, Netscape's dominance wouldn't last. A key factor in its decline was the browser wars with Microsoft.
Right.
Microsoft decided to bundle their Internet Explorer browser with their Windows operating system, basically giving it away for free.
It was a brilliant, albeit controversial, strategy.
Yeah.
And it severely undercut Netscape's market share.
Yeah. This led to a big legal battle, actually. Netscape accused Microsoft of anti-competitive practices, and, in the end, Netscape lost this fight. But their impact, especially during those formative years of the internet, it was profound.
They set the stage for many of the technologies and internet conventions we still use today, influenced the development of web standards and how online content evolved.
And they inspired a generation of entrepreneurs who saw the potential of the internet to really transform the world. But even though Netscape's reign came to an end, Andreessen's story, it was far from over.
So what happened next? How did his career evolve after Netscape?
Well, he stayed deeply engaged in the tech sector, co-founded several companies, including LoudCloud, which became Opsware, a very successful software company, acquired by Hewlett-Packard in 2007 for $1.6 billion.
Wow.
But maybe his most significant venture after Netscape was Andreessen Horowitz in 2009, a venture capital firm.
Ah, yes. Andreessen Horowitz, often called A16s, is. What made him decide to switch from being an entrepreneur to a venture capitalist?
He co-founded the firm with Ben Horowitz, another, seasoned tech entrepreneur. And they wanted to create a different kind of venture capital firm, one that went beyond just funding.
Okay.
They wanted to actively support the companies they invested in, give them strategic guidance, operational expertise, and access to this network of key individuals and resources.
So it was more of a full-service approach to venture capital. It wasn't just about writing checks. What were some of the things that set A16s apart from other firms at the time?
They focused on really understanding the technologies and markets their portfolio companies were working in, and they put together a team, experienced partners, people with diverse backgrounds in technology, business, and finance. And they developed this reputation for being really selective in their investments. They would only back companies with strong founding teams and really disruptive ideas.
And that approach resonated with entrepreneurs.
Yeah, A16s it quickly became one of the most prestigious venture capital firms in Silicon Valley.
I mean, their portfolio is incredible. Some of the biggest names in tech, Facebook, Twitter, Airbnb, Slack. Their success, it wasn't just about picking winners. It was about actively helping their companies succeed, guiding them through the challenges of building and scaling businesses in a tech landscape that's constantly changing.
That's exactly right.
And this is where his famous quote comes in, "Software is eating the world."
It does.
It was published in an essay in 2011.
Yep.
And it really sums up his belief in the power of software to completely change things. He saw how software was disrupting all these traditional industries, from media and entertainment to retail and finance. And he believed this trend was only going to get stronger.
That's right. He saw that software wasn't just a tool, it was a fundamental force that was reshaping the world. And his investments at A16s, they were all about supporting this vision. And his insights, they go beyond just venture capital. Andreessen's, a prolific writer and speaker, known for his really thought-provoking essays. And, he makes these pronouncements on technology, on innovation, even on regulation. He's actively shaping the conversation around tech, influencing both industry trends and public policy.
Yeah, and he's been especially vocal about artificial intelligence, AI, seeing it as like a fundamental technology for the future.
Yeah.
And under his leadership, A16s has really poured a lot of money into AI and machine learning startups.
Can you unpack his vision for AI a bit, and how does it connect back to his software is eating the world idea? Yeah, so Andreessen believes that AI, it represents a kind of natural progression of that software revolution. He sees it as the next logical step in automating tasks, improving efficiency, and ultimately creating these possibilities that we couldn't even imagine before. For him, AI, it's not just about these specific applications. It's about the potential to transform entire industries and revolutionize how we approach problem solving.
And can you give us some specific examples of A16's investments in AI that illustrate this vision?
Sure. One that stands out is their recent $415 million investment in Mistral AI. And they're an open source large language model creator. And this move, it really signals Andreessen's commitment to supporting open and accessible AI. The idea is to make sure this technology isn't controlled by just a handful of companies or people.
That's interesting. Can you explain what open source means in this context?
Yeah.
And why it matters so much to Andreessen?
So in software, open source means that the code, like the actual building blocks of the software, it's made freely available for anyone to use, to modify, to distribute. It really encourages transparency, collaboration, and innovation because, developers from around the world, they can all contribute to making the software better.
And why is this approach so important in AI specifically?
Well, AI, it's this field that's moving really fast. The potential is huge, but there are also some real concerns about responsible development and deployment. And open sourcing AI models, it allows for greater scrutiny, more collaboration, and it could potentially mitigate risks because you're involving a much wider community in that development process.
So you're kind of democratizing access to this technology.
Exactly.
That's like with Mosaic in the early days of the internet, empowering a much broader community to participate in how it's developed.
That's the idea. Andreessen, he sees this parallel between making the internet accessible back then and promoting open and accessible AI today. He wants to make sure this transformative technology benefits all of society, not just a select few.
His vision for AI is pretty compelling. But that's not the only emerging technology that's grabbed his attention, right? He's also been pretty vocal about blockchain and cryptocurrency.
Yeah, he has. A16s was one of the first firms to set up a dedicated crypto fund. They've invested in a lot of really prominent blockchain projects like Coinbase and Dapper Labs. And that just shows their belief in how much this technology can change things.
Can you give us a quick breakdown of what blockchain technology actually is and why Andreessen sees it as such a big deal?
So basically, blockchain, it's this decentralized and distributed digital ledger. And it lets transactions be recorded in a really secure and transparent way, but without needing a central authority, like a bank or a government.
Okay.
And this has huge implications for all sorts of industries, from finance and supply chains to healthcare and even voting systems.
So why is Andreessen particularly drawn to blockchain?
He sees it as this fundamental building block for the future digital economy. He believes that blockchain can create more transparency, more security, more efficiency across all these different applications.
And that ties into his broader philosophy about software changing the world.
No.
He sees blockchain, just like AI, as another critical piece of this ongoing software revolution.
Absolutely. He views both AI and blockchain as forces that are going to completely change how we live and interact with the world. These aren't just technologies with specific uses. They're like a whole new way of thinking about information, about trust, about how we exchange value.
His interest in these cutting-edge technologies is definitely forward-thinking. But his influence goes way beyond just investments or what he says about technology. He's very active in these debates about the role of tech in society, often expressing some pretty strong opinions.
Yeah, like on regulation, on innovation, on the future of the tech industry as a whole.
Exactly. He's a big advocate for what he calls American dynamism, this belief in the power of innovation and entrepreneurship to drive progress and tackle these big societal problems.
Right.
And he argues that for that to happen, we need a supportive regulatory environment to foster this dynamism and make sure America stays at the forefront of the global tech landscape.
Yeah, he's definitely been critical of what he sees as too much regulation.
Especially in areas like AI and cryptocurrency. Can you expand on that a bit?
He thinks that excessive regulation can stifle innovation and create barriers for new companies trying to get started, which, ultimately slows down progress. He's more in favor of a flexible and adaptive approach to regulation, one that allows for experimentation, trying things out, making changes quickly while still addressing real concerns about, protecting consumers and responsible development.
But of course, his stance has drawn some criticism from people who think we need to be more careful with regulation, especially when it comes to powerful technologies like AI and blockchain.
That's true. And it's a valid debate to have, what is the right level of regulation in these fields that are changing so fast? Finding the right balance between encouraging innovation and guarding against potential risks, that's a tough challenge. And Andreessen's views, they definitely contribute to that conversation.
It's pretty remarkable that he's willing to wade into these debates, even when his views are controversial. It really highlights how much he wants to shape the future of technology, not just through investments, but through ideas and public discussion.
He believes in the power of ideas. And in having these robust debates about technology's role in society, he sees these conversations as crucial for navigating the ethical and social implications that come with tech advancements.
So let's shift gears a little and talk about the impact A16Z has had on venture capital. They've been credited with really revolutionizing the industry with this full-service approach.
Right.
It goes beyond just funding, right? They offer this comprehensive set of support services to their companies. Can you explain how this model works and why it's been so successful?
Well, their approach, it's all about recognizing that startups, they need more than just money to succeed. They need expert guidance, operational support, access to networks, help with navigating the complexities of building and scaling a business.
Right.
So A16Zs, they've built this massive network of advisors, mentors, specialists, and they provide their companies with expertise in areas like recruiting, marketing, legal matters, even technical development.
So they're essentially acting like an extension of the startup's team.
Exactly, giving them the resources and the support to overcome all the challenges of growth.
And this full-service model has really proven itself.
It has. It's helped A16Z's companies attract top talent, build strong brands, navigate all the regulatory hurdles, and ultimately achieve rapid growth and success.
A lot of other venture capital firms have copied this model.
They have. It set a whole new standard for the industry.
And their approach has also had a ripple effect on the culture of Silicon Valley itself.
Definitely.
There's a much greater emphasis on collaboration and mentorship now. It's clear that A16's influence, it goes beyond just financial returns. They've really shaped the culture and practices of the venture capital world and raised the bar for what startups can expect from their investors.
And you can trace a lot of that back to Andreessen's vision and leadership. He's not just an investor, he's a builder, he's a thought leader, he's a force for change within the tech industry.
And even with all the controversies that swirl around him sometimes, his impact on Silicon Valley and tech in general, it's undeniable.
He's a polarizing figure, no doubt, but there's no denying that he's a force to be reckoned with. His ideas, his investments, his public statements, they all continue to shape the trajectory of the industry and influence how we think about the future of technology.
He's a reminder that the tech world, it's not just about code or making money. It's about people, about ideas, about the impact technology has on all our lives. Before we wrap up here, I think it's worth taking a moment to look at Andreessen, the person, not just the tech type.
It's true. I mean, a lot of what we know about him publicly, it's all about his takes on technology, his big investment decisions. But there is another side to him, his personal life, the philanthropic work he does. That's worth exploring too.
Yeah, he is known to be pretty private.
He is.
But we do know that he's married to Laura Arrillaga Andreessen, who is a respected philanthropist and educator herself.
That's right. And together they've been involved in a lot of different charitable initiatives focused on things like education, alleviating poverty, and making sure more people have access to technology. And their philanthropic work, I think, gives us some insight into their values, their desire to make a positive impact on the world that goes beyond just venture capital or software development.
Like their involvement in that housing development project.
Yes.
Near that proposed California Forever City. That's a really interesting example. The project is trying to address the affordable housing crisis in California by building this sustainable and innovative community.
It's a complex undertaking, for sure. But it shows that they're willing to take on these really tough societal problems and look for creative solutions. Their philanthropy reflects this belief in using their wealth and their influence to make a real difference in people's lives.
And that housing project, it actually aligns with some of Andreessen's broader interests, too.
How so?
Well, his interest in infrastructure development, his belief that we need to build the physical and digital infrastructure to support a thriving society. He sees infrastructure as key to driving innovation and economic growth.
Yeah.
And this project, it reflects that perspective.
It's this interesting intersection of his personal values, his professional interests, his commitment to tackling these big societal challenges. It suggests that his vision for the future, it's not just about the digital world, it's also about those physical spaces and communities where people actually live and work.
It's a good reminder that technology at its core is a tool.
Yeah.
Meant to serve human needs.
Yeah.
And its true potential lies in its ability to improve people's lives and help us create a better future.
So I guess as we wrap up this deep dive, we're left with this really complex picture of Marc Andreessen. He's this brilliant technologist, a visionary entrepreneur, a savvy investor, a thought leader who definitely provokes a reaction, and a philanthropist committed to making the world a better place.
His story is a testament to what's possible with big ideas, the impact of innovation, and this constantly evolving relationship between technology and society.
He's someone who continues to shape the tech landscape and how we think about the future. And we hope that this conversation has given you a better understanding of Marc Andreessen, his work, and his lasting impact on this digital world we live in.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.